The Indian rupee falls to a record low and China export growth drops to a 2-year low. You're watching the Daily Brief with Forbes. I'm Ramia Farrage. The Indian rupee fell to a record low today, dropping to 77 rupees against the dollar. Analysts say foreign funds have pulled out $17.7 billion from Indian equities this year. This is the highest on record as aggressive tightening by global central banks hits markets. The rupee has faced other headwinds as well, including a widening current account deficit and the rise in oil prices. And that brings us to today's Forbes Real-Time Billionaires ranking, where Indian billionaires are the biggest losers today. Gautam Adani and family are down $2.6 billion with net wealth of $121.3 billion. Our second biggest loser today is Mukesh Ambani, down $2.6 billion with net wealth of $96 billion. And our third place loser is Japanese retail billionaire Tadashi Yanai, down $1.5 billion with net wealth of $22.9 billion. Check out our website and our social media for all of the latest Billionaires news. And staying with Japan, it plans to gradually phase out imports of Russian oil as it joins other G7 leaders in stepping up pressure on President Putin by pledging to halt crude imports. Oil fluctuated in trade to start the week, with investors weighing the impact of the move by the bloc. The U.S. and the UK have already moved to ban imports of Russian fuel, but the weekend pledge by the G7 will put more pressure on Moscow. China's export growth slumped in April to its lowest level in almost 2 years. It comes as COVID resurgence shuttered factories, sparked transport curbs, and caused congestion at key ports. China's Customs Administration says export growth plunged to 3.9% year-on-year in April, the lowest monthly figure recorded since June 2020. Imports remained flat as the country battles its worst coronavirus flare-up. In other news, Kuwait National Petroleum Company reported a 133% year-on-year rise in its net profit to $1.1 billion for the fiscal year 2021 to 2022. Officials say the company saw success in implementing several major strategic projects, which enhanced its capacity, production efficiency, and competitiveness. KNPC, a subsidiary of Kuwait Petroleum Corporation, is Kuwait's only refining company. The unit provides the domestic market with all fuel needs, including gasoline, diesel, kerosene, and gas. Meanwhile, Kuwait's National Industries Group holding has completed its capital increase by a total value of $338.7 million in a bid to boost its revenue growth. The increase came through the issuance of 525 million ordinary shares, making up 35% of its issued and paid up capital. The subscription period for the rights issue ran from April 3rd to the 21st, and demand surpassed the number of shares offered, with a subscription coverage rate of 348%. Doctor Strange and his Book of Spells summoned a blockbuster $185 million at North American cinemas over the weekend. It reaffirmed the box office dominance of Disney's Marvel Cinematic Universe after a pandemic-battered year for the franchise. Doctor Strange 2 delivered the biggest opening weekend of 2022, as well as the second biggest debut in COVID-19 times. Prior to this weekend, The Batman stood as the year's biggest opening weekend with $134 million, but Spider-Man No Way Home still ranks as the pandemic's biggest opening weekend and the second biggest ever with $260 million. I'm Ramia Farrage. This is the Daily Brief. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.